In ancient times, Lucifer attempted to rebel against God, resulting in his expulsion from heaven. He found himself plummeting into hell, where Archangel Michael bound him to a massive rock, using his own sword as a seal. Before departing, Michael warned Lucifer of his eventual return as a formidable adversary to God. As centuries passed, Lucifer rallied demons to help plot his revenge, and his followers constructed a mansion around the very hole through which he descended, eagerly awaiting his comeback. Fast forward to the present day, 2022, and we meet Laura, an art historian studying in Italy. Her goal is to explore the intriguing perspective that the great Italian artists may not have truly believed in the angels and demons depicted in their works. Unfortunately, her professor dismisses the idea, deeming it disrespectful to Italy's history. Adding to her woes, he suggests discussing the thesis privately at his apartment, prompting Laura to swiftly escape the uncomfortable situation. Shortly after, she encounters Father Marconi, who presents her with a special pass granting access to all exhibitions in his cathedral, including the Shroud of Turin, said to bear Jesus' blood from the crucifixion. Laura receives a comprehensive tour from Father Marconi, culminating in the unveiling of a stunning statue depicting Michael triumphing over Lucifer. Engaging in a conversation about the nature of evil, Marconi eventually leaves Laura alone to sketch the statue for her thesis. As she immerses herself in her work, Laura senses a faint voice calling her name, but with no one in sight, she dismisses it as a product of her vivid imagination. As the exhibition nears its closing time, a mysterious raven circles the building, eventually transforming into Liz, who seamlessly blends in with the last group of visitors. Instead of following the guide, Liz discreetly slips through an off-limits door, catching the attention of a vigilant security guard monitoring the cameras. Navigating through the corridor adorned with statues, Liz observes Laura sketching from a distance. Laura, sensing an unsettling presence, becomes apprehensive, especially when she notices the statue of Lucifer seemingly coming to life. Disturbed, she scans her surroundings, only to be startled by a raven at the window. Seizing the opportunity, Liz pilfers Michael's sword from the statue while Laura is momentarily distracted. Just as a guard approaches Laura, mistaking her for the mysterious hooded figure, she proves her authorized access, and the guard, convinced of a misunderstanding, departs after a brief reminder about the closing time. Laura, gathering her belongings, notices Michael's hand but is unable to discern any changes. Finding the front door locked, she embarks on a quest for an alternate exit. Returning to the corridor, she is shocked to witness Liz ruthlessly dispatching the guard with the stolen sword, taking his head. Terrified, Laura seeks refuge in a confessional booth, from where she witnesses Liz utilizing the guard's eyes to deactivate alarms and shattering the protective glass around the Shroud of Turin with the stolen sword to secure the sacred relic. Responding to the commotion, Father Marconi confronts Liz, only to meet a tragic fate as she ruthlessly stabs him. Liz's accomplices arrive to safeguard the shroud, but on their way out, Liz spots Laura in the confessional booth and commands her men to apprehend her. As the group exits the room, Father Marconi, in his final moments, offers a fervent prayer, beseeching Michael to utilize his body to thwart Lucifer's plans. Responding swiftly, Michael descends from heaven, inhabiting the priest's form to pursue Liz's group, who are making their escape in a car. Despite his angelic speed, the human vessel proves fragile under such divine power, forcing Michael to halt to prevent its destruction. Meanwhile, in a separate scenario, a gathering of affluent individuals marvels at a prodigious child displaying remarkable violin skills. Following the performance, Dr. Laurent reveals that the child is a clone of Antonio Vivaldi, part of a series produced by extracting DNA from the graves of historical figures. These cloned infants are then auctioned off to wealthy parents. In the current auction, a Michelangelo clone is on offer. During the proceedings, Liz arrives, informing Laurent of their possession of the Shroud of Turin. Shortly thereafter, the group arrives at Lucifer Villa. Laurent is eager to examine the shroud, anticipating the opportunity to clone Jesus. Inside a glass cell, Laura finds herself restrained alongside Brenda and two other women. Despite one of them being distressed and vocal, Laura uses soothing words to help her calm down. Recognizing the need for collaboration, Laura attempts to formulate a plan with the others. However, before they can strategize, a group of nurses enters the cell to assess their vital signs. Meanwhile, back at the cathedral, Michael returns and discovers other priests reviewing the security tapes. They are astounded to witness Marconi alive, but Michael offers no explanation, immediately inquiring about the protectors of the Shroud. The priests reveal that Cardinal Vincini had been responsible for safeguarding the relic, but he succumbed to instability, ranting about demonic entities and covert cults, attributes everyone attributed to dementia. Michael, incredulous that the clergy dismiss the very teachings of the Bible, demands to know Vincini's whereabouts. Learning that he is now a recluse in an asylum, Michael takes the security footage, queries the priests about Laura using her pass, and secures their promise not to disclose his presence. Wearing a borrowed jacket, Michael departs in Marconi's car, discovering some medication in the glove box to alleviate the pain caused by his celestial powers. Unbeknownst to him, a raven trails behind. Simultaneously, at Lucifer Villa, scientists labor diligently to extract Jesus' DNA from the Shroud. Meanwhile, Michael arrives at the asylum and encounters Vincini, who, armed and apprehensive, awaits him. Upon contact, Vincini discerns that Michael is more than just a priest, swiftly accepting his claim to be an angel. Aware of Liz's machinations, Vincini guides Michael to the villa they erected around the hell-bound hole, unveiling the asylum as a strategic vantage point. According to ancient scriptures, Lucifer's return necessitates two entities from both worlds, one being the woman, evidently Liz, and the other referred to as the beast of the ground. Over the years, Lucifer's followers supplied him with possessed children, but these human vessels proved inadequate for his needs. The theft of the Shroud is part of a plan to clone Jesus, possessing the only body robust enough for Lucifer. Disturbed by this revelation, Michael vows to thwart their sinister plot. Vincini drives Michael to the base of the Villa Mountain. Michael's proximity activates his celestial sword, allowing Lucifer to exert force on the chain, inching closer to freedom from the seal. Simultaneously, within the villa, the captive women strive to find a means of escape, engaging in conversation that unveils Laura's painful past, the loss of her husband and child. Dr. Laurent conducts tests and discovers Laura's complete compatibility, prompting Liz to urge him to expedite the cloning process. The tension escalates as the wheels of Lucifer's impending release set in motion. The nurses return to the cell, prompting the women to utilize their chains in a desperate attempt to defend themselves. Despite their efforts, reinforcements arrive, overpowering them and escorting Brenda and Laura to the surgery room. In this chilling space, doctors implant eggs fertilized with Jesus' DNA into the girl's uteri. Liz makes a dramatic entrance, presenting herself as an angel of the Lord and singling out Laura as the chosen one. She commends Laura's sketches of Lucifer from the cathedral, finding them highly inspiring. Simultaneously, Vincini guides Michael to the entrance of a concealed cave leading to the villa. Observing the persistent raven, Vincini takes a shot before handing his weapon to Michael, who proceeds into the cave. Moments later, Laura and Brenda, now adorned as brides, are brought to a gathering of Lucifer worshippers. Chained to a pillar, they await the arrival of the beast of the ground. The fearsome entity places them in a massive birdcage, lowering it into the well protecting the hellbound hole. As the cage descends, demons materialize around it, restraining the women. Lucifer then transforms his essence, entering Brenda through her mouth. Despite Brenda's brief resistance, she succumbs to the demonic possession and perishes. Lucifer exits her lifeless body, entering Laura's in a seamless transition. Miraculously, Laura withstands the possession without succumbing to its malevolent influence. The stage is set for a confrontation of otherworldly proportions. In a daze, Laura walks outside as Liz presents her to the Lucifer worshippers as the chosen one. She is then escorted to a new glass cell with a bed and a vital sign monitor. Questioning the contents within her, Liz cryptically refers to it as a better Jesus. Meanwhile, Michael navigates the cave tunnel, discovering a door that he shoots open to gain entry to the villa. Upon being noticed by guards, Michael attempts to use his celestial weapon but is shot in the shoulder. Reacting swiftly, he incapacitates the guards with a few powerful blows, pilfers a uniform and pass for stealth, and gains access to the lab. Retrieving the shroud, Michael examines the security cameras to locate Laura. At this crucial moment, Dr. Laurent enters the lab, but Michael forcefully interrogates him. Laurent, cryptic in his responses, claims to work for a new beginning. Faced with a dire situation, Michael opts to ignite a flare and open gas canisters, triggering an explosion that engulfs the lab in flames, creating a barrier between him and the incoming guards. The building's fire alarm blares, signaling chaos. Back in her cell, Laura pleads with the nurse to release her, but he remains resolute in denying her freedom. In a sudden turn of events, Michael arrives, swiftly incapacitating the nurse. Overwhelmed with relief, Laura embraces him, mistakenly believing Marconi is alive. However, Michael becomes distracted as Lucifer communicates telepathically, mocking him about his newfound freedom. Frustrated and furious, Michael's reaction alarms Laura, making her fear that he might be allied with the enemy. Terrified, she attempts to flee, but Michael catches up and pulls her into a room before the guards can discover them. In a tense standoff, Laura seizes Michael's gun and points it at him. Michael, however, convinces her of his allegiance and tends to his bullet wound. With a sense of trust established, Laura discloses the horrors inflicted upon her. In an act of protection, Michael resolves to whisk her away from the clutches of the malevolent forces. Witnessing their escape, Liz dispatches her henchmen in pursuit. When one of the guards nearly harms Laura, Liz intervenes, eliminating him to ensure Laura's safety. Michael and Laura attempt to flee through the cave tunnel, but the rapid growth of the supernatural entity inside Laura takes a toll on her health. Their sluggish pace allows the beast of the ground to catch up, leading to a fierce battle with Michael. Initially holding his own, Michael's human form succumbs to the strain, resulting in the beast's victory. Seizing the opportunity, Liz, accompanied by her henchmen, recaptures Laura. Threatening harm to the baby, Laura attempts to negotiate, unaware that Michael's angelic essence may be her only hope. Liz, cold and calculating, reminds Laura that the priest is already dead, leaving only the angel's demise to complete their sinister plans. The stage is set for a climactic confrontation between the forces of good and evil. As Laura is brought back to the cell and restrained on the bed, Michael finds himself chained in the room near the well. Utilizing his celestial powers, he breaks free from the chains, but the exertion leaves him severely weakened. Despite dragging his feeble body, Michael manages to reach the well and opens it, leaping into the abyss just before the beast can seize him. Upon landing in hell, he faces an immediate assault from a demon, whom he swiftly repels. To his shock, Michael discovers that his sword, a crucial tool in his battle against evil, is missing. More demons converge, wielding Lucifer's sword to imprison Michael in a manner reminiscent of Lucifer's previous fate. Meanwhile, the supernatural growth of the baby inside Laura persists. Liz asserts that the child will replace the one Laura lost, but Laura vehemently rejects drawing any parallels. During an ultrasound, Laura witnesses an unsettling dream where the baby crawls out and roars at her. Startled, she awakens to find Liz by her side, inquiring about her communication with Lucifer. Laura remains silent, prompting Liz to recount the tale of Lucifer's rebellion against the tyrant they refer to as God. Uninterested, Laura dismisses the story, earning a slap from Liz. Despite Liz's promise to release Laura after the birth, she demands respect for the time being. The eerie and precarious situation continues to unfold as the forces of good and evil clash in both the earthly and infernal realms. In hell, Michael encounters a group of kids who had been failed sacrifices. Desperate to escape, Michael makes a deal with them. He'll take them home if they find his missing sword. However, the kids, skeptical of trusting angels given Lucifer's past, hesitate. Their conversation is abruptly cut short by the arrival of demons, forcing the kids to scatter. Some are captured, leaving Michael frustrated as he watches helplessly. Meanwhile, back in the cell, Lucifer's essence momentarily exits Laura's uterus, entering her mind through her ear. He presents her with an irresistible offer. If Laura accepts him, He will aid in avenging the murder of her family and eliminate Liz, whom Laura despises. Succumbing to the offer, Laura lies on the bed, allowing Lucifer to take control of the baby. In her dream, she envisions holding and bonding with the child. Liz, observing this, grows concerned about Laura's newfound strength. Later, during a routine examination, Laura utilizes her enhanced powers to extinguish the lights and eliminate the nurse. Leaving the room, she encounters another nurse, whom she ruthlessly beats and kicks until he succumbs to her lethal assault. The balance between good and evil continues to shift as Laura becomes an unexpected force to be reckoned with, while Michael strives to reunite with his lost celestial weapon. Suddenly, Laura breaks free from Lucifer's dark influence, horrified by her actions. Determined to stop the escalating situation, she decides to end the baby's life before it can cause further harm. In response, Lucifer pleads with her not to take such drastic measures, addressing her as mother. Ignoring his voice, Laura rushes into a janitorial closet as guards give chase. Locking the door behind her, she seizes a bottle of chlorine and, despite Lucifer's resistance, struggles to consume it. Laura retches and writhes in pain. Amidst this disturbing scene, Liz bursts into the room, berating Laura for the harm inflicted on the baby. As Liz prepares to seek medical help, Laura, now under Lucifer's control, employs her newfound powers to close the door and force Liz to the ground, vomiting on her face. Lucifer seizes control of Laura's body, punishing Liz for her perceived errors. Expressing regret that she couldn't bear the child herself, Liz pleads with Lucifer, who issues new directives. Everyone must die after the baby's birth to conceal the events, and Laura, forming a bond with the baby, must be eliminated as well. Dr. Laurent intervenes, and Lucifer, now in control, strikes him, pleading for salvation from the effects of the chlorine. Laura's body is placed inside a healing pod. With Lucifer's essence briefly departing, he inhabits a demon in hell and taunts Michael, ridiculing his failure. Unbeknownst to them, a group of kids observes from the shadows, seeing this interaction as evidence that Michael is indeed a force for good. The intricate web of alliances and conflicts intensifies as the struggle for control continues both in the earthly realm and the depths of hell. As Lucifer departs, Michael gains insight into God's plan, and the kids rush to his aid. Unable to release the demon's sword from its chains, they search for Michael's original sword. Despite encountering demons offering freedom, the kids recall what they witnessed and ultimately deliver the sword to Michael. With the weapon in hand, Michael briefly regains his celestial form, dispatching the demons and promising to return for the kids. Returning to Earth in Marconi's body, Michael retrieves the shroud before heading back to the main building. Knocking down a guard and arming himself, he checks on Laura, only to be met by Lucifer's voice. Desperate to assist, Michael attempts to move the healing pod, observed by a nurse. After securing the area, he opens the pod to explain the truth to Laura, but Lucifer, with a powerful roar, pushes him away. Lucifer guides Laura's body to stand above Michael, announcing her water has broken and releasing the liquid onto the angel, causing intense pain. As Michael tries to escape, Lucifer seizes him, placing him on Laura's lap, demanding worship. Michael, refusing to submit, shares a revelation. God allows this situation because if Lucifer enters Jesus' holy body, Jesus will control and seal him forever. Infuriated, Lucifer throws a tantrum, knocking out Michael in the process. The conflict intensifies as the struggle for control over Laura and the impending birth of the supernatural child reaches a critical juncture. As Liz arrives with guards, Lucifer urges her to kill the baby. Misunderstanding, Liz assumes Laura is speaking and orders the guards to take her to the altar. On top of the well to hell, Laura gives birth, and Liz promptly seizes the baby. Left alone on the well, Laura faces the beast, who opens the lid, intending for her to fall. The scene transitions outside as Liz presents the newborn as their savior, announcing a baptism with blood instead of water. The beast proceeds to mercilessly slaughter every follower, doctor, and guard, sparing none. Laurent, initially relieved to be spared, meets a tragic end after kissing the baby's head. Meanwhile, Michael awakens, breaks a window to escape the room, and enters the well room. He finds Laura hanging on the edge and helps her up. Together, they set out to confront their common enemy. Outside, Liz prepares to depart with the baby in a car, but Laura intervenes, attacking her before reaching for the child. Liz, fearing harm to Lucifer, pleads for mercy. Michael steps in to clarify that the baby is not Lucifer, setting the stage for a dramatic confrontation between forces of good and evil. The tangled web of alliances and allegiances begins to unravel as the truth behind the supernatural child is unveiled. The revelation unfolds. Laura was chosen by God, not the devil, and she has given birth to what will become Lucifer's eternal prison. Laura decides to leave, seeking Vincini, while Michael remains to confront the demons escaping through the open gates to hell. Racing to the well, Michael tries to close it, but the beast intervenes, hurling him aside to resume opening the well. However, Michael discovers explosives left by Liz to eliminate evidence. Activating them, he triggers an explosion that demolishes the facility, burying the hole beneath debris. In the aftermath, Vincini takes Laura and the baby to the cathedral, where they return the shroud. Michael fulfills his promise to return to hell, freeing the kids. Time passes, and Laura resides with Vincini in the asylum, protecting the child who has grown into a healthy individual. Unbeknownst to them, Liz sneaks into the forest, attempting to call forth Lucifer. However, when Lucifer attempts to escape, the child absorbs him back into his body, effectively sealing him once more.